why did you decide to do this, the Conversations with Keya and Friends?
The simple, honest, truthful answer is ego. I wanted to be on TV. And the reason I wanted to be on TV was because I wanted more people to know what I do and that it is possible for them to have peace, love, joy, harmony, contentment in their life. Yeah, so all the troubles that I went through, I know there are tons of people who go through similar troubles. And I have been working for 15 years and I have worked with over 3,000 people and helped them go from point A to point B, from this bend of the road to the next bend of the road. But for me, it wasn't enough. I want to reach people through my written words, through my spoken words, and help them know that nothing's wrong with them and that bad things happen to good people. But there is a way out. You don't have to keep spinning in circles. And that is what I wanted to bring to the audience. That is what I wanted to bring to the world. So the moment the sales and marketing person said that you could buy this airtime 24 hours for a certain amount of money, I jumped in. I said, I have been waiting for this. I just didn't know how to do it. And now here's my opportunity. Like when you knock on the door and the door gets answered, you should step in. You can't say at that moment like, oh, I don't know if I'm too sure if I want to go in or no. I am like, when you ask and you are given, you should receive. So that's why.
So like you said, you now have this 24 hours of airtime that you've found that you can use. So what should viewers be expecting you to do with this airtime? How do you see Conversations with Keya using that time?
It's a very good question and a very deep question. There's a lot to be spoken in response to that question. When people tune into the show, there are three things that I guarantee is healing, hope, and happiness. And I want to speak a little bit about this healing. I want to speak about hope, and I want to speak about happiness. As we go through life, as we grow through life, you know, we have a choice of either growing old or growing up. And nobody likes to grow old. I don't want to grow old. Do you? I don't think so. No one wants to grow old. So the other option is to grow up. And growing up is the work that we need to do. That is the healing process. That is the healing journey. Because if we want to just feel better, we can have some coffee, we can have some alcohol, we can watch a show, we can have sex, you know, we can go on a vacation, we feel better for a bit. And then we go back to not feeling better, and then we go back to whatever it is that makes us feel better. And it is a repetitive process. And one of the things I have heard people say is, oh, I'm coasting through life. But when we are coasting through life, we are actually going downhill. And that is the process of aging. That is when we are growing old. But I'm 54 years old today. And I truly believe that today my life is so much more better than when I was 44 or 34 or 24 or even 14. I truly believe that. And the reason for that is because I have been working on getting better, not just settling for feeling better. So the healing process is the work that we do to get to where we want, so we can find the strength within, and the strength within becomes your protection. You know, that is what protects you from all the harm, if you want to say, you know, because whenever you think of protection, you think of harm from whatever life flings your way. When you are strong enough, things bounce off of you. And it, you know, a parallel that comes to mind is karate, you know, aikido. When the student shows up at the teacher's doorstep, they come with empty hands, karate. And when they become the great grandmaster and they leave years later, they again leave with karate, empty hands. And what happened within the time that the student lived with the teacher? He healed himself, he became stronger himself. So whatever energy came towards him that was not right for him, he could deflect it. He could just step back and let that energy pass away. So that is the healing work that I have done, that I have gone through. And that is what I share with my students, my clients, and the healers I work with. I help them go through that.
So we're going to expect to see some of that in this as well, the part where you're talking about the healing and the part where we're growing up instead of growing old.
Yes. If you stick with me, that's a promise. And it's not
the first part.
That is not something I will be, the way you are going to find your own healing is almost like when you watch a movie and you cry. And when you cry, why are you crying? When tears trickle down on your cheeks in those dark rooms, what is happening? You are healing, because tears always tell the truth. Tears never lie. And when that water is flowing out of your body, through your eyes or your nose, what's happening is the energy, the emotions that were all like frozen within you are now beginning to flow. You are healing yourself when you're watching a movie, when you are watching a show, when you are hearing someone tell you their story, you are healing. So that's a promise. So as I have these conversations with my friends, and when you listen to those conversations, you will relate to it. They are conversations of empty nest. They are conversations of divorce. They are conversations of something as harsh as like even sexual abuse, physical abuse. And you'll be like, oh, I don't want to hear all those negative stories. But this is not like people who have gone through the abuse and are feeling like victims. These are people who have gone through the abuse and have come out on the other end, and their journey, you will get to meet them and see them and know that it's possible for you too. So there's divorce, there is death, there is loss of parents, children growing up and leaving home. You want them to leave home, but when they leave home, your heart is breaking, empty nests. You lose a job. You lose your youth. These are all processes that we struggle through. And when we get attached to our struggle, when we get attached to our pain, we suffer. So the healing is through the process of understanding what's going on, accepting it. And acceptance, people think, is like tolerating. No, you're not going to tolerate through it. You accept it for what it is. For example, a fish does not ride a bicycle. So a fish is not a failure just because it can't ride a bicycle. But if you're just tolerating something and expecting it to change, that is not acceptance. Acceptance really is accepting the person for what they are, accepting the situation for what it is, accepting the place for as it shows up, and continuing, and then after that we come into the process of forgiveness. Again, forgiveness is not a religious process. Forgiveness is not like you forgive someone and everything becomes okay. Forgiveness is a process that you do for yourself. You forgive yourself for having held on to pain for so long, and when you forgive the other, what happens is you free yourself from the energetic bond that you have with the other person, with the transgressor, and you can move on. And then eventually it is love. It comes down to love, peace, joy, equanimity, contentment. That is the healing process.
It sounds like you're saying that people are going to be able to listen to conversations where they're going to see how people have healed themselves, and in a lot of different ways. And you mentioned a lot of the topics that are going to be involved, but it sounds like that'll lead to the second piece, which is the hope that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is the transformation obviously it's very hopeful to see people that have been through life's challenges and been able to transform themselves. So can you tell us a little bit more about that second piece with the hope that you mentioned?
Yes, definitely. And that is the key, to get to the next part, which is happiness. So hope, once I read this book by Viktor Frankl, and the book was titled, is titled Man's Search for Meaning. And the entire book is like a Bible. But there was one part that like I held to it very, with a lot of, what would I say, I mean, there was a lot of emotional charge behind that story, where he talked about the difference between the people who came out of the concentration camps alive and those who did not. So yes, there were people who were put into the gas chambers and they were annihilated in like a few seconds or minutes of arriving over there. But there were people who were kept in as workers. These were the free concentration camp laborers who were working. And when the Allied forces or the Russians, whoever came to free them, only a few of them came out alive. A lot of them just died in the camp. And the difference, he said, was hope. Those who had hope of coming out alive did. And those who gave up on hope did not come out. And that was the key, like what takes you into the stage of happiness and contentment is the hope that you do not quit on yourself. The healing process continues because healing is a lifelong journey. You never stop. It's just like brushing your teeth. You never stop because you want your teeth, even when you're dead, at least for an hour after your death. Same, healing also goes on. And the way it goes on is when you don't give up on yourself. And there's so much help out there and it is accessible and people are so generous these days. Everything is out there, people are writing, people are speaking, people are presenting, all the options on videos, on all the channels that are there. So you can do that, go through that and have the hope and find your happiness. That's the second part.
And I think in Man's Search for Meaning, the other piece that he brought, which I think is also part of what you're doing, is he talked about the hope was also related to connecting to yourself.
Yes.
And I think, like you mentioned before, part of what you're wanting people to do is to connect to the stories and the people and reconnect to themselves so they can receive their own healing and hope and happiness.
Yes. And the hope is also when you have someone hear you, someone sees you, someone understands you, someone gets you. Because it can be in today's urban world, or suburban world, anywhere in the world, we are all in this go, go, go mode and people do not have time for themselves. And if you go to your friends, you go to your parents, you go to your siblings, you go to your kids, you go to your uncles and aunts, your core group, they have always seen you. They have seen you pick your nose. They have seen you take the trash out. They're like, it's no big deal. We all go through it. So you need objectivity. You need to work with someone who is outside of your core group, someone who is not emotionally enmeshed with you, but someone who is qualified, experienced, and has that objectivity for you. And they can take you through the process. So alone, it is hard. Trust me, I know how hard it is. I feel you, but together we can make it happen. And that's the thing is hope is you have to find a friend who you trust enough. And it could be your coach, it could be your therapist, it could be a coach and a therapist, because I do both. I do therapy and coaching, because therapy somehow is like, you keep staying stuck in the past. And coaching is always forward focused. Okay, this is it, and now let's move on. But you cannot build on a weak foundation. And if you're just working on the foundation forever, like working on your past and working on your past and working on your past, then you're not moving ahead. It's almost like you're spinning in a circle, but you want to move on with your life. But in order to move on, you have to also work on your foundations. So I bridge the gap in between being a therapist and a coach, because my job title is both. So that's what I do for my students and my clients, is help them go through that. And I, of course, offer them objectivity, help them heal their past, where We have emotions, the memories charged with emotions of anger, sorrow, fear, guilt, hurt, shame, pain, doubts. Work through all of that so you can have the faith in yourself, self-esteem, work on self-confidence, and again, hold on to my hand, or someone in your neighborhood or someone you find somewhere and you can journey together again from point A to point B.
Which is beautiful. Let's get into a little bit more about who you are. You just talked a little bit about some of your skill set. So can you just share with us a little bit more about the specifics of who you are and what you do?
Who I am, I'm still trying to figure that out. Okay. I have gone through phases in my life where I started defining myself as I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. So right now I see myself as your mirror. Okay, so whoever shows up in front of me, I'm your mirror. So one of the things I tell people is, of course, with a little bit of fun, is if you don't like what you see in the mirror, please wash your face. Don't squirt Windex on the mirror. So that's what I am. As far as my job title goes, I am the founder of Ventura Healing Center. I work there as a clinical hypnotherapist, a trainer in neuro-linguistic programming, and I will explain what neuro-linguistic programming is, an astrologer, and an energy medicine practitioner. So let me tell you what neuro-linguistic programming is. It helps you understand the language of the mind. These internal conversations that you have of to be or not to be. Shakespeare said it, right? Hamlet, opening statement, to be or not to be, to which I will add to do or not to do, to have or not to have. These conversations that go on within you create your external reality. And when you change the conversation, your inner dialogues, your monologues, your soliloquies that you have within you, you change your reality. And NLP is a tool that helps you understand your own inner conversations and reframe them so you can start having a different reality. And astrology is as ancient as humanity, because in olden days when we didn't have the lights, people would lay back and look at the stars on the nights. And from there came astronomy, and astronomy has, it is scientific, which the two things that came out of astronomy is mathematics and physics. So my background is physics and mathematics. And then the other thing is also astrology. And I come from India, where astrology is part of humanity. So when a baby is born, an astrological chart is drawn for that baby. And the chart tells the parents the qualities of the angels who came to them as their children. So when you have a baby, usually this is what parents do, is they try to impose their reality on their baby. Oh, I couldn't do this, and I'm going to help you do this. And the baby may not be programmed for that. Maybe you are very good at sports, but your children loves art and, something else, writing poetry or singing songs. And people will be like, oh, both of us play basketball. And how come our children don't want to play basketball? Because they are not wired for basketball. And how do you know that? Because it's written in the chart. So astrology helps you understand who you are. It's like the roadmap that you are given. It's like a disclaimer when the baby is born that parents are given. So this is what the baby is. So I have been always fascinated by this science. And you can say that I have read these books since I was 4. I'm not kidding. And energy medicine. Energy medicine is the medicine within you, because you being a human being have organs in your body. And the organs in your body have cells. And the cells have molecules which have atoms within them. And atoms are composed of subatomic particles. Electrons, protons, and neutrons. And the proton sits inside and the electron spins around it. That's all you are, electrons and protons. So the frequency at which the charged particles in your body are vibrating, that is going to be your reality. So when there's higher vibration, you will feel better. When there's lower vibration, you will feel like low. So that's what happens. So energy medicine is, you can call it the art and the science of helping you come to a vibration that will help you attract and create a reality that you desire and deserve. And that is what energy medicine is.
Says the physicist. Thank you for breaking that down for the rest of us. So we've talked a little bit about your unique background, a little bit about what viewers can expect as far as it's going to be, you guaranteed the healing, hope, and happiness. Can you tell us a little bit about how you see the structure of the series playing out, or as far as what sort of structure you see to this, as far as what we can expect to see coming soon?
Yeah. So again, being a teacher, being a physicist, being a computer scientist, because that was my theoretical background from decades ago, from lifetimes ago. I did work as a software engineer, and I was a teacher of physics and mathematics until, you know, this new life happened when I went back to school to study and be a hypnotherapist, etc. So when in this program, this is what I want is, you know, people to have their foundation. Most people are not interested in understanding why things happen the way they do. But if you can present it in simplistic terms that they can get it, you know, then people are really curious about it. Like I have a friend who I have been talking to for quite a few days, and every day she says to me, Keya, I have been doing this research. Keya, I have been doing this research. I've been doing this research. And I'm like, yeah, you know, research is fun. That is why people go and do their PhDs, because they love research. They love information. They love knowledge. They love wisdom. So there will be a whole section on where you get the fundamentals of the conscious mind, the primitive mind, the subconscious mind, the inner critic, basically the critical mind, and of course the higher consciousness. And so there will be a lot of details when you hear it. It's going to be presented in a very interesting way, so it doesn't overwhelm you with technicalities, but you get to understand, like, oh, this is why I do what I do, and this is why these patterns keep repeating themselves, and that is why that angry person keeps getting angrier each time, and that is why that sad person keeps getting sadder every time, you know. So you get some basics and fundamentals, because I believe this information is owed to you. You know, you don't have to just go and pop a pill every time, or just go for the caffeine, or just go for the alcohol, or just go for something that keeps you in that feel good state. You know, I want you to also get better, and I want you to be able to do the things that you love for the rest of your life, till your last day, till your last breath. So there will be a foundation section. Then there will be another section where we will be having these conversations with my friends. So you get to hear, you know, how this person went through their life with alcoholism and came out on the other end, or was smoking or doing drugs or something, but then came out because of the work they did. Or people, how they dealt with divorce, or the death of a pet, or a parent, or a loss of a child, or whatever it is, you know, how people are struggling through midlife crisis, but coming out on the other side champions, you know, cancer survivors, whatever, you know, people go through surgery. So these will be the stories that you will be listening into and finding your own hope and happiness through them. You will connect with the people whose stories will be shared. And then the last part that I have is about leadership. And when I talk of leadership, usually people think of like a political leader, a spiritual leader, a financial leader. It's not about that, you know. These leaders are common people like you and me, who have gone through stuff, but come out on the other end, you know, moms raising kids, you know, single moms, single dads, you know, like business owners, how they are prospering because I'm a business owner, and it took me a long time to claim my identity as a business owner, because I'm like, no, I'm not a business owner. I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, I'm a healer. I'm not a business owner. But I have survived for 15 years just being a business owner. And how did I get to that place? What are the struggles that people go through and come out on the other end, not just surviving, not just living, but thriving. So these are people who are thriving in their life, who have retired early, who have made their priorities align with their own lifestyle. And they may not have the Learjet and the boat and, all the billions of dollars to show, but wherever they are, in their home, in their community, in society, they are leaders. And that is a very fulfilling way to live your life. That is a happy way to live. That's a content way to live. And it's possible. So to inspire you, not motivate you, but inspire you, shift something within you so you could also live that life where you are not just surviving or living, but you're thriving in your life.
That sounds like a very worthy endeavor, a very worthy endeavor.
If I could be anywhere, I'd be here with you, sharing our healing hearts, our hope and our truth. Joy overflows here at the crossroads. Here at the crossroads. Oh, here at the crossroads.